My name is Syed Ali Asghar, and the project that I am working on is basically a web application, bWAPP. So bWAPP is basically an open source web application. What it allows us is to test some tools that are relevant to vulnerability testing or exploitation. So this application is basically loaded on a local host, which is basically a server that has been created through Docker, and the port that has been assigned to this website is 80 and the IP domain is 127.5.0.1. So the first tool that we are going to use in order to search some vulnerabilities that are possible in a system is Nikto. So what does Nikto do? Nikto is basically a tool that searches for any possible vulnerabilities that can be used in order to exploit the system. So the system of Nikto works like it uses the IP on which the website is running, the port that has been assigned to it, and it is going to save the record. And after searching the possible vulnerabilities, such as it tells us that entry password in robot.txt returned a non-forbidden. So there are the possible vulnerabilities that are in the system, and we can use these vulnerabilities to exploit the system. So we can check in the record file that these are all the possible vulnerabilities. So for example, if we see this example, it could be interesting how we can use this method to exploit into the system, or we can do some damage to the system. So the second tool that we are going to use is Zenmap. So how does Zenmap work? It actually works like Nikto. It finds the possible vulnerabilities, or the vulnerabilities it finds the most vulnerable. But it also provides us the information about the device. So we are going to use the tool to see how it works. So first of all, we have to provide it the target on which we are going to use the Zenmap, which is basically the IP of the application. So the IP of the application is 127.5.0.1, and the command that we are going to use is a command of nmap-t4-a-v and the IP. Now we are going to scan for the possible vulnerabilities. After fetching the results, it is going to create a relevant report according to the search. So we can see that it has provided us the information of the port state services version, which is basically 80, and it is open, and it tells us about the supported methods and some disallowed entries. It is like admin, documents, images, and passwords. These are all the disallowed entries, and we can see that the HTTP title, which is bWAPP, and login, and the information that it is telling us about the device on which the services are running is basically the Linux version, which is 2.6, and some OS details and some NSE script posting scanning. The next tool that we are going to use is Wireshark. So Wireshark basically is used to analyze the network traffic of a web application. So how does it analyze the traffic? It analyzes the traffic in the form of packets. It tells us the destination, the source, the acknowledgement, the sequence number, and much more. It also helps us to troubleshoot any web application, or it can be used in order to detect any droppage of any packet. So let's use the application. So here we have Docker 0, the server on which our application is running. So we are going to open it. So you can see that there is no packets that have been received yet because we haven't used the application. So let's use the application. So for example, we are going to log into the system into the application. So let's type the login credential B as the login name and password as bug, and here we hit enter and we logged into the system. Now let's see what happened with the Wireshark. So you can see that it has received some packets. Now we are going to search for any possible information that we can get from the system. So here you can see that we have a packet which source is 172.17.0.1 and its destination is 172.17.0.2. So let's analyze what does it has. So we can see that it provides us a lot of information. So how we can check the possible leakage of the information? Here we have HTML form URL encoded. We can see that it has the leakage of information, which is the login name B and the password bug. So you can see that we have successfully identified the password or the credentials of the system. So that's how we use the Wireshark application. So the next application that we are going to use is OWASP-ZAP. So what does this application do? This application is one of the best applications that can be used in order to find the most vulnerable flags or alerts or any vulnerabilities that can be used to exploit the system. So we are going to use this application and it works on the automated scan. So first of all, we are going to provide the URL on which we are going to attack. So the URL of the website is 127.5.0.1 and we are going to perform the attack. After the attack, it is going to search for the possible vulnerabilities and it is going to provide us with some automated alerts. So if you can see that there is the first flag that tells us that this website has this type of vulnerability or flag. So the next one is basically, it tells us that the clickjacking attack is possible in this web application. Why is this so? Because Xframe option header is not included in this HTTP, and there are furthermore vulnerabilities or the flags that it has detected in the system, and here we can even use these attacks in order to exploit the system. Thank you.